I think that's a good question. So I've always wanted to transition beforehand, but when you grow up in certain places, you don't have access to certain information, right? So it's not like it is now, where information is at the touch of your smartphone or anything like that, the computer. So I didn't know what transitioning was, but I knew I wanted to when I was very young, but I wasn't able to until I was in college. For me, it was my own journey, right? So once I actually found out and understood, hey, there is something called transitioning. There are people that are female to male, male to female. I'm not crazy, right? I'm not less than. That helped me more than anything. And it wasn't necessarily a person or something like that. It was a lot of self-reflection. And, by the time I got in college, not to reveal my age or anything, but by the time I got in college, the internet there was a lot more information, right? So, and I was able to find that information and read a book by Jamison Green. And that actually helped me more than anything to understand I'm normal. This person is normal. So I'm normal. There's nothing wrong with me.
Okay, so the author, is it Mr. Green?
Mm-hmm.
Why was his book special to you?
It was written very well where I could connect, because not everyone's going to be able to connect to the story. But it was just something about the way that he told his story from beginning to end that made me realize I get it. I completely understand. I understand where you're coming from. I think it would be more difficult if I were younger to read that book and really identify with that book. But at the time where I was, it was for me. So there was nothing like one particular thing about the book. I can't say that, but the book overall really helped.
Okay, perfect. So how was your family initially respond to your transitioning?
Not good. So I actually had a falling out with my brother. My mother said some very hateful things as well. And some of the things they say are things that it could be any family member for any family for transitioning. They will say certain things. Like there are a lot of people, a particular individual in my family said that you're going to be an ugly man. And other people I know have said, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to transition to be a black man? I often say, great point. You go from being a African American female, which is the most wanted if you think about the workplace, if you think about diversity. It's the most wanted to go into the most hated. Why would a person choose that? In American society, that's it. But why live your life in a place where you're miserable, in a place where you're not happy, in a place where you're walking through, watching life pass you by because you are not where you need to be. So that was tough. It took a lot of people some time. They're still not supportive. I don't attend a lot of family functions because I choose not to put myself around people that don't respect me as a man. Period, point blank. There's no need to put myself through that emotional issues. I don't have to be there if I don't want to. I make that choice. They don't make that choice.
Definitely.
My education, I have a PhD in chemical physics, chemistry. I have a master's in physics. My bachelor's degree, though, is in physical science. So, and if you ask me what physical science is, at the time, that's the degree they had when you were in physics at that time. Like I said, I'm old, so to a certain degree. So I did that. I was never discouraged from getting a degree, but there are certain people that don't understand why continue your education to get a PhD if it's, or a higher degree if it's not a medical degree or something like that? It's completely ridiculous and crazy to think that way. I continued my education because I wanted to, quite frankly, and I thought it would benefit me, and it has. Has it been hard? Yes, but it's benefited me in the long run. I think without going through that experience and just following my own path and my own goal, I would not be where I am today. I would not have had the experiences that I had. And it was really the most influential in that, I would say, would be like my grandparents, my great-grandparents. So they were really in education. On my father's side of the family. My grandmother on my mother's side was not, but the one thing she always said is she's like, I love to learn. And one day I realized I love to learn too. And a professor told me, if you love to learn, the only way you can continue really learning into a scientific subject as you continue to grow is to become a professor. And that's what led me down that path. It wasn't easy because I didn't go direct. I'm like, I didn't go direct. My path went the way some people's path go, I guess. Got my bachelor's degree, thought I was burnt out, went into industry. I did have a great experience in industry, but that's where I realized it wasn't for me. And I went back and got my degree and became a professor. I think I am a person that thinks people, no matter who you are, if you are considered to be a minority in a certain place, you need to stick together to support one another. There are laws that some people feel like it doesn't affect me. I am not a transgender individual, but I am, because I have a certain sexual orientation, why should I support? You should support along the same lines that people of color should support people who are lesbian, gay, or transgender. Because we have to stand together to make progress. We have to understand each other to make sure that we can move forward and not have someone get left behind. You know, granted, I don't like No Child Left Behind, but if you think about it, the concept of it and the idea of it actually applies to all people. No one should be left behind. No one should feel like they are alone. And if you think that my fight is not your fight, eventually there will be no fight left and we will have nothing. So we must be able to come and sit down at the table and support one another and say, what is something that is pressing you? And we all have to keep in mind, things overlap. Things are not as clear cut. You know, what do you consider to be someone who is transgender? What does that really mean to you? What does that definition look like? It's just like, what does gay look like? What does that really mean? How do we make sure that we can all move forward? It goes both ways. As much as I would love to say, hey, the LGB does not support T, a lot of times it can go the other way. The T doesn't support the LGB. And we all need to understand that we have to support one another to move forward. So whatever we can do to get that going, that's perfect support. What would I tell them if they were struggling? That's a great question. I would tell them you are not alone. No matter what people tell you, you are not alone. And to reach out and find the support that you need. I think that's the key. Whether they're old, whether they're young. And everybody has different ways of doing it, but there are a lot of resources. You're not alone.
That's the most important. Okay, perfect. Thank you.